Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. I'm your host, Kimberly,
And I am Kimberly's other half, Zach. This morning, we're going to talk to you guys about some exciting things. We have a special guest that Kimberly's going to introduce with a very impressive bio that goes along very well with what all he's accomplished so far. And we are very blessed to be able to partner with him in some endeavors that we have going into the future. So as we get started today, take out those pads and pens and make sure that you're ready to, put away the noise that you got to deal with at 9:30. But let's get from here to there so you can take in some great information and hear from Peter this morning. So
absolutely. Well, I want to take this minute to say, Peter, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We've enjoyed getting to know you over the last couple of months that we've been associated, I guess, and fascinated by your story and interested to hear more and love following you on social media. So you're definitely an inspiration to all of us. So before I have Peter start talking, I need to properly introduce him. So today's question of the day is, can Hispanic communities survive without the financial revolution movement? So let me tell you a little bit about Peter. Peter O. Estévez, right? Am I good? Did I get it?
That's good. Thank you.
Was born in Mexico City, Mexico, and migrated to the United States at the age of 10. He is an entrepreneur and partner in several companies in the energy, gas, and oil sector in Mexico. Peter is also a philanthropist, an international speaker, and an expert on Hispanic behavior in the United States. He is the author of the upcoming book, From Laws to Riches, 13 Steps to a Healthy Life. Additionally, he is the founder of LatinTalks, often referred to as the TED Talks for the Latino community, a traveling series of talks and conversations designed to inspire, educate, transform, and empower the Latino community. Furthermore, Peter is the co-founder of the Financial Revolution movement and a partner in the fastest growing financial services company in America, focusing on teaching disadvantaged communities the importance of financial literacy, creating a financial plan, and finding their path to financial freedom and wealth creation. So, Peter, again, thank you so much for joining us today. I think we're both really excited to learn from you and to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about, obviously, we know that the financial revolution is a big crusade of yours, and it's super important to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your backstory and kind of how you got here.
First and foremost, thank you so much. Thank you both, Zach and Kim, for the invitation. I'm happy and humbled to be here today. I am an immigrant. I'm a first-generation immigrant. I came to the United States at the age of 10 years old with my parents, 6 brothers, 6 sisters, plus mom and dad. 15 of us lived in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home in San Antonio, Texas. The Brady Bunch family had nothing on us, except they spoke English and they had your house. So, I come from very, very, very humble beginnings. My father had a 3rd grade education. Mother had a 6th grade education. Mom was 15 and dad was 18 when they got married. There were children raising children. And, very, very early on, I experienced what it was to struggle, what it was to live without. I come from the generation prior to the internet. So I was not privy to anything outside of my community. It was very easy to get trapped in that environment. And since you were not exposed to anything else, you didn't know there was a different world out there, right? But I knew very early on that I was meant for something greater than where I was. Where I came from was only where I came from. That was not where I was going to stay. So I developed a hunger for being a voracious learner, for being a voracious reader, for trying to understand human behavior. And here I am.
well, that's that story is inspiring, of course. And there are a lot of people, many people that will hear this today that have no way to personally or physically relate to that. But it speaks volumes to the fact that your decision to not stay where you were, not look at where you're from or where you came from in a negative light, but realize that I'm going somewhere, and where I come from doesn't limit me to where I can go. It's what I think and what I choose to do that can limit me from doing that. And what I'm taught, right? And I think that's what impresses me the most about the LatinTalks situation, that I've watched you and Mauricio go through this process and watch the, traveling around the country and the feedback and some of the things that you guys are doing from that perspective. That's just absolutely fantastic. And you're providing these things at a very, affordable and easily accessible marketing plan and marketing program. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to do next week, right? Is take what some of the models and some of the successes that you guys have had with LatinTalks and realize that it's not just the Latino community that needs to have a financial revolution. It's the gap between the haves and the have-nots is growing so quickly because the education is not being provided, or it's old education, it's old information that people are working off of. So I love that. And I love what you guys are doing, and I'm excited to be a part of this next step.
Absolutely, Zach. And to your point, we have been operating, many of us, many communities have been operating on under an old program system, right? We just like we upgrade our phones, upgrade our computers, download the information and upload new information, that's really what needs to happen in many communities. And I saw my community remain stagnant for many, many, many generations. And one of the things that we wanted to do with LatinTalks was to make sure that we inspire, educate, transfer, and empower the community, and really brought to the forefront conversations that we have never had in our communities. Whether it was sexual abuse, whether it was pedophilia, whether it was poverty, whether it was illiteracy, whether it was a money issue, and really, I'm very passionate about the financial revolution that ties into everything that we do, because money and finances are the determining factor in the house that you live in, the school that you go to, the food that you eat, the future of your children, the retirement that you go through. Everything is defined by money, and is the only thing that we don't want to talk about. It is a big taboo in many households and in many communities.
That's crazy, right? But we don't talk about money. We're all raised to say, shh, you can't ask them how much their house is worth. You can't ask them how much they
Yeah,
make. Like, you can assume, right, based on where people live
right.
and what it looks like around them, you can assume if they're doing better or worse than you, but you certainly can't talk about it. One of the conversations that we've had in the past, and it's, I don't know if it's a phrase that Gio coined, but it's definitely one that I heard first from his mouth that I really love, and it's talking about your own personal economy, and learning how to handle your personal economy, like your history, right? So you knew where you came from, you knew where you wanted to go, and ultimately that's all you could control was your personal economy. You guys are doing so much more because you are influencing an entire, group of people and educating an entire group of people, but you're also distilling it down to them and teaching them how to grow their personal economy, how to fix their life, how to fix their situation. Tell me some of the success stories you guys have had through some of your events so far. I'm sure that you have
Well,
plenty of it.
absolutely. And let me go back a little bit with my own personal story, Kim and
Yeah.
Zach, because that was kind of the catalyst of me wanting to learn more about money, about finances, about economy, about how to really make an impact. I achieved massive financial success at a very young age, but I still had a very poor mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. I still had a scarcity mindset. I still, felt poor, acted poor, behaved poor in many, many ways, because I did not come from a background where I knew how to manage money. I didn't know how to manage my finances. Had I not had an incredible mentor, Aaron Mandel, a Jewish gentleman that kind of took me under his wing, and he said, Peter, at the rate that you're spending money and the things that you're doing, you're going to be broke. It doesn't matter how much money comes in. You are spending that as quickly as it comes in. I had no concept. I wanted everything that I had not achieved. I wanted everything that I didn't have as a child. I wanted the car, the toys, the house, the girls, the shoes, the ties, everything that came along with what I perceived as being successful without really having a financial plan. And I continue to see that in my community and in every other community. That's really the foundation of being able to break those cycles of dysfunction and poverty and illiteracy by being educated. There's a pathway to everything that we do. I didn't know that. I did not come from a system that taught me how to do certain things. My father had a third grade education, for God's sakes. He was in constant survival mode. So
Yeah.
there was nothing I could simulate from him that was positive in a sense of that would lead me to achieve success other than hard work, ethic, and incredible resourcefulness. And a quote from my mother had incredible faith. And I think when you combine those things, those they can get you a long way, but that's not enough. Education is very, very important. I see one thing in the community that really scares me, Zach and Kim. And the fact is that the Hispanic community in the U.S. right now stands at 60.1 million Latinos. There's a Latino that turns 18 years old every 30 seconds. Okay, we are forecast to become the largest community in the country by 2060, leading us to be over 110 million people by 2060. 1 out of 4 residents in America would be Hispanic. Okay, that is, although that I could say I'm very prideful of that, I can also tell you it's a very scary proposition. And it's a very scary proposition because we are a very uneducated community. Okay, we are a very uneducated community, and we're really not prepared to hand over the keys to this country. Okay, that is one of the reasons that I started the movement that is based on inspiration, education, transformation, and empowerment. Because although we are a very hardworking community, okay, we're not an educated community, and most of the immigrants that come to America, and I say this because I done major research. I spoke at several universities about this topic. We come from very poor backgrounds. We come from non-educated parents. Okay, and we looked at America as the country of opportunity, and we end up developing behaviors that where we don't assimilate the culture in the right way. We work to live, or we become we live in a state of survival. We work to live and live to work, and then to compensate for that, we become consumers. So we fall in that trap. Okay, without any planification, without understanding how money works, how money grows, and how money multiplies. Okay, so those are the things that we have that Mauricio and I talk about during our talks. We have identified local Latin leaders in respective communities. They have achieved success through education, through making an impact in their communities, and primarily assimilating the culture, the American culture, the right way. We know that advanced community have a proven system of doing things a certain way. Okay, so why do we not want to duplicate that? And that is the whole emphasis of LatinTalks. And then we decided to bring in the component of the financial revolution because we realized that is a common thread. That is the one defining factor that is going to move the scale. Is going to move the scale. And we don't want, and this is not just a black or brown issue. Okay, you and I, you guys know that for the last 20 years in America, the salaries have remained stagnant. The cost to live plus inflation continue to increase at an average of 7 to 10% every year. In most households, the incomes and expenses are at a par. And all of that, we can't change the economy, but we can change our own personal economy, okay? Through financial literacy, to financial planning. And those are the things that are going to lead us to financial freedom and wealth creation.
Yeah, I think that the educational approach is where it has to be, right? Because for so long, financial industry professionals have been salespeople. They've been people that are looking to complete a transaction or to gather money under management. So they're dealing with a certain segment of the population. And so the people with the knowledge are not looking for the people without the knowledge. They're looking to amass as much as they can of people that understand the same things. So when you guys go out and you approach the financial revolution with an educational spin, and you're not selling from the stage, you're teaching. And I think that that's really what's going to bring groups into this new relationship with money. We talk a lot about people's relationship with money and how that's developed and why it is the way it is. And it is really based upon what we've seen and what we've continued to find through our processes is it's based on the relationship your parents demonstrated with money at your formative years. And so
Right.
you have to have a significant emotional experience that changes that, or that opens your mind to have a different relationship with money in general. And if you don't, or if you stay in that time for dollars mentality, well, I go work hard. You know, I'll tell you, and you know this, but one of the biggest problems that our biggest gaps is in work ethic, right? When you come from the Latino community, where that they will work so hard daily, right? But it's usually a transactional. It's a day. It's a day for $1, or an hour for $1, or whatever. And but to work hard and add the intelligence, not intelligence, but the education that you guys are providing to that hard work.
Education component, absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah, adding that education component shifts everything, you know, and fortunately, you talked about a very important point. You made a very important point, at the fact that for a long time, the financial institutions had only targeted at certain segments of the population across the board. Okay. And when you look at what has happened over the last 20, 25 years, you know, the financial system has been democratized, digitized, and demonetized. Okay. So it's now become readily available to the average individual, an individual that perhaps did not have an opportunity to set up a retirement account, a mutual fund, an annuity, an investment account, whatever. You know, those people, many institutions, if you didn't have readily available $400,000 to $500,000, we not even look at you. Okay. But we know today that there's other plans available in the financial system, that people can start literally with very little. Okay. We also know that the greater wonder of the world, or the eighth wonder of the world, as quoted by Albert Einstein, is compound interest. And the greater fertilizing is compound interest in time. And if you teach people how those two work, okay, it does not matter what circumstances you're in. If you have a financial plan, if you have a budget, if you understand the importance of creating a financial plan, it can really not only change your personal economy, your family's economy, but you can change generations to come. Okay. And it does not, you know, the greater number of millionaires in America are not people that bought stock at Apple, or bought stock at Amazon, or you know, they had been average individuals, hardworking individuals that basically work hard, but at the same time had learned the basic principles of financial literacy and financial planning.
I think it's interesting to kind of think back about the shift of having to plan for yourself in the US, right? So we talk about it a lot. Zach has his Unqualify Me presentation that maybe we'll do on here one day, talking about 401ks. But I think it all started for normal everyday people. The wealthy always had their own rules, right? The wealthy always understood how money works, because that was the world they lived in, and what you're surrounded by, you understand and you pick up on, because the conversations are just different. But I think for regular everyday people, that really changed in probably, you know, late 70s, early 80s, with the 401k, when pensions went away and the 401k became the savings vehicle of America. So I think that's why you see a large gap in every community between your super wealthy and your middle class and below, right? Is their ability, number one, the necessity to save for themselves and to save for retirement, but also to do so without any financial education. They didn't know.
Right.
Nobody's taught them. So I think it's just interesting, kind of, when you think all the way through historically, of why are we here? You know, why do we not know how money works? Well, I think maybe before we didn't need to. We needed to, of course, we always needed to, but we also knew that if we worked with one company for the next 30 years, they were going to take care of us, and we could live, and we could afford to retire, right? And that was comforting. It isn't that way anymore.
Sure. Sure. And not only that, you compound that with the fact that many of those programs are outdated. They were set up when the average retirement age was between 55 and 62, with a life expectancy of 3 to 5 years beyond retirement. That does not happen anymore. People are either not retiring or they live in an additional 20 to 25 years beyond retirement. So the new challenge is, how do we give more time to our money? Not just to ourselves, but to our money. So, there's a lot of factors that have taken place over the last 20, 30 years. And you take that with the fact that many communities have been completely in the dark about the financial system, okay? And they continue to get farther away. That has been my biggest concern. How do we bring those communities that had, and this is across the board. This is not a black and brown issue. This is across the board. There's many middle American blue collar, hardworking class people across. You can take Detroit. You can take many states where pension plans were funded because you had major automobile companies or major companies that provided that as a benefit. That does not exist in America anymore. So more than ever, we need to assure that we understand very, very early on the basic principles of how money works, how money grows, and how money multiplies.
I think, I mean, this topic is obviously, we're very passionate about this too. I love listening to you and how passionate you are about it. I want everybody on here to understand that we're going to be throwing a lot of things out next week, and we're going to be traveling around all over Atlanta with Peter, Kimberly, and I will, and in the Financial Revolution, doing some in-person events in multiple different locations that are educationally based. These concepts that we're talking about today, we're going to drive them home, and you're going to have a solid 2 hours. That I think the events we've got planned are 2 hours, and they're all over the Atlanta market. If that's where you are, we'll be able to do that. But we can't get all this in today, right?
Absolutely.
In this time frame. I want, and you guys.
Before we go to questions, Peter, can you give them kind of a little snippet of the topics and conversations that we'll be having all next week over Atlanta?
Absolutely. I want to speak about the speakers, if I may, very quickly.
Sure.
We're going to have obviously Jody Humphrey, who's a business consultant in the financial industry, who has built two billion dollar companies, and he has trained hundreds of thousands of established successful financial agencies. Of course, we're going to have Mauricio Garcia, who's a fintech visionary, who's created an all-in-one marketing system for the financial sector. We're going to have a core financial strategist, Kimberly O'Tate. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Kimberly.
Sorry, you and I will work together on pronunciation.
That's my Latin accent right there.
Perfect.
Okay,
I love it.
So who's going to be your experience and an experienced financial professional. Of course, we're going to have a financial coach and former attorney, Carol Cheatham. Yeah, Carol Cheatham. And Zach, retirement planning strategist. LaShawn Hamilton, an accomplished realtor who's produced multi-million-dollar real estate sales and is an incredible educator in the financial sector today. And Crystal Hughes, who's a former educator, entrepreneur, now empowers others by educating the basic principles of financial literacy. We have James, who's going to be our MC, James Ivanovich, and Rosangela Sabat and Sergio Villegas, who are panelists who families across the Atlanta metro area. But if we look at the topics that we're going to be talking about, which for me, this is where the meats and potatoes of this conference is. We're going to be talking about how to maximize the returns in vehicles like your RAs and 401ks to extract significant wealth from this assets and transform it then into the dynamic tools for financial growth. We're going to talk about how to merge technology and AI to automate your business and boost the efficiency and growth of your business. We're going to be talking about how to create your own bank to the power of the IUL. We're going to be talking about vertical collaborations, partnerships. which is one of my favorite topics in this conference that we have over the 7-day period, because we realize that there's a lot of businesses out there, whether they're accounting firms, real estate companies, tax preparing offices, and many companies that we can help them increase their bottom line. Okay. The second part of Money Mastery is going to be held by Mauricio Garcia, where he's going to be talking about how to take your traditional retirement and IRAs and 401ks and get index to maximizing secure retirement savings. And the other topic is the new 6 figures. You know, we know that in America, the pinnacle of success was achieving 6 figures 10 years ago, $100,000. And today we know that the same individual that used to make $100,000 10 years ago, to maintain the same lifestyle, needs to make a minimum of $300,000. And how do you reach that in an economy like today? Well, we're going to have Jody Humphrey talk about that and teach us some practical steps to enhance your financial stability. Those are the topics that we're going to be talking about. It's a 5-day tour across Atlanta, the metro area of Atlanta, and it starts Monday the 29th.
Yeah, awesome. And I put the link in the chat for you guys so you can see where we are different days.
I want to address a question we got in the chat, and it has to do with the financial education. He says having a short half-life. Basically, without behavioral change and impact, you're going to have an issue being successful beyond 6 months. And how does Mr. Estévez address that? I'm going to take a shot at this, Peter, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely, please.
And then they can ask Peter too.
Yeah,
ask Peter, not Zach.
I know, but I want to. I think that I see what you guys are doing, and I might have a different answer than what Peter actually has for this. But one of the biggest things that we deal with now is information accessibility immediately. If you think about the way the access to this education and the information has changed from snail mail to email to now social media, where most people get all of their information. Whoever thought 10 years ago that there would be a job title, if you will, of influencer? Right? What do I do for a living? I influence people, right? So what they've done with LatinTalks, and it's been incredibly impressive, and Peter mentioned it earlier, I don't want to glaze over this at all, I want you to understand, they have found and identified, they've found influential people in communities across the country as they've traveled to get information out fast. So if we can establish a network, which is our goal, is to establish a network of influential people that use their influence to get across education, we can open up channels of education that we don't have that lag. So when something changes in the financial world, we can get it out there fast. If we see a direction that changes, we can make that change. We can educate in that direction. And I think that's how we are wanting to address this ever-changing, quickly changing world of finance. Peter, what would you say to that?
Absolutely. As you know, both Mauricio and I are geeks when it comes to technology, and we firm believers of the power of technology and social media. You know, I truly believe that both social media and technology are tools and resources that have become an extension of who we are, not who we are. Big difference, okay? But they're also tools that we can utilize to maximize our creativity and our productivity. And we live in a world where we have a plethora of information at our fingertips. You know, our cell phones have more information than we first landed in the moon. Okay, than the rocket when we first landed in the moon. So having said that, you know, through the power of being able to identify leaders in their respective communities that have knowledge, experience, and they're people that look like you, that speak like you, that come from where you come from, that you can look up to, that you can identify with, because we know that many people do not trust the news, do not trust major institutions anymore. So we kind of found like a secret sauce that we know it works very well within the community, and those are the individuals that have become the ambassadors of the information, right? And it's also, Zach, it's not just about getting information. It's about getting the right information. It's about being able to filter the right information, because there's a plethora of information, but there's also a plethora of wrong information. So how do you quantify that? Is by really getting a trusted individual that can sit down with you and help you I call retirement today, the way I look at retirement, you cannot think about retirement for 30 years. You got to think of retirement for the present, the future, and into retirement. Okay. And that's how you plan it. How are you able to address today's needs, the future needs, and retirement needs? Hopefully, I touched the question that they had.
I think so. And obviously we're a little long today, but I think this is great. Any other questions? And did that answer your question? Any other questions you guys have before we close off for today?
Got a quick question. Looking at the program here, you guys, is that plan to cover all these speakers per evening?
Yep. If you look all the way at the very bottom, it gives you an outline of the topics and the times.
So all these speakers gonna be, let's say, in Marietta, so we'll have all these speakers in Marietta for one evening.
Yes.
And then Alpharetta, one speaker for all these speakers for one evening.
Correct. We're coming to town and we're doing a little road show for the whole week.
All right.
So we'd love to see you.
They're actually about 15 to 20 minute sound bites, just enough information to get your appetite going. And obviously, we're going to try to cover the most important basic things that we're able to cover in that time frame. And there is a panel discussion where some of those speakers are going to be discussing some of those topics. So you have a group of maybe 15, 20 minutes, which is a group of people. The four main speakers are Zach, Kim, Jody, and Mauricio.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Look forward to seeing you there.
All right. Is it Reg?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi. Thanks. This is a great session. And both of you, well, Zach, Kimberly, and certainly Peter, I really appreciate the work that you're doing. So we have FinTech that we dynamically measure, visualize financial health. And we are not desperate, but really excited about the possibility of partnering with organizations that share our mission, as you very much do. And what are the opportunities to potentially work with you and in a way that advances that joint mission?
Yeah, so obviously, I would say that we're looking for people with like-minded thought processes as far as opportunities to work with us in this situation. That we could talk offline about that at some point in time. We could schedule that, kind of see a little more about what you guys do and see how that fits in, if it does fit in with what we're doing. And obviously, are you in the Atlanta market, or where are you?
We're in the Atlanta market. Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
So possibly we could get together and talk about that at some point in time next week.
But ultimately, spreading this financial message and this financial crusade to everyone, and there are opportunities for multiple levels of plugging in, if you will, from just a conversational piece to, full-fledged financial planning and financial coach and, all of that. So we'd love to talk to you more. Gio, did you have anything that you wanted to say before? I saw you unmuted, but I know we're running late too. So I thought I'd give you an opportunity if you want to say anything before we head out.
It was me?
I just saw you unmuted. Yeah. So I didn't know if you wanted to say something before we checked out for the day.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for being here, Peter. I had that 1 minute client at the end with a little bit of breakdown, so I missed some of the conversations. But what I capture at the end is that I am looking forward to meet you, and I'm looking forward to see you guys when you guys are here. And so thank you for being here. And like Sorel was saying to me in our chat, he was saying that it is really great to meet people who are mission driven.
Yes.
And so I look forward to connect with you guys.
Thank you, Gio. Look forward to meeting you as well. Kim and Zach, thank you so much for the opportunity. See y'all next week.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Peter. And Gio, Sorel, thank you for this platform. It matters to people on a weekly basis, and your brainchild and your efforts, we want to make them grow. So as we go out of here today, we remind you of our 8 tenets at the Daily Huddle. Number 1, love. Number 2, laugh out loud. Number 3, stress less. Number 4, take care of your body. Eat things that are good for you, plant-based. Number 5, give. Give your time, give money, give. Number 6, sleep. Get your rest so you can be more productive, and then also move. Get out and move your body. And finally, take that pause between stimulus and response. How you react is one of the big determining factors of how your future plays out. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. Guys, enjoyed it. Peter, thank you so much. Look forward to next week, and we will see all of you same time, same place tomorrow on the Daily Huddle.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.